The EU must shift into what it calls war economy mode. That's why European Industry Commissioner Thierry Breton unveiled new proposals to unify Europe's defense industry on March 5th. Right now, the EU has 19 different types of main battle tanks, 28 different types of howitzers, etc., etc. That's a lot of wasted effort. But fixing it is hard. Each nation wants its own companies to make its own weapons, and the arms industry is specifically excluded from EU treaties on the single market. Now, these new proposals are some of the first to challenge that, and to get the EU involved directly in arms production. So Breton wants the EU to, first of all, stop buying American weapons. About 80% of EU's defense spending goes to companies outside of the EU, mostly to the US. European countries themselves are too small to produce many of these big budget weapon systems like the F-35 fighter jet. And so instead of buying American, Breton wants the EU countries to work together more and to produce their own big budget rivals. By 2030, Breton wants half of defense procurement to happen within the EU. He also wants EU countries to coordinate their arms purchases. So with about 40% of all weapons purchases done collectively by 2030, that's the goal that he'll be happy with. And then to help with this, the EU would spend 1.5 billion euros over 3 years to subsidize EU military production. That's small beer in defense procurement terms, but it's not nothing. In many ways, these steps are small and underwhelming and probably insufficient to change the way the EU produces and buys its weapons, and there's a lot of skepticism about the targets that have been outlined. But these could also be an important first step towards an EU that gets much more involved in its military matters. And it is an important step in that direction. Right from 1945, Herbert W. Armstrong warned that a European Union, and he used those exact words, would arise in Europe, that it would start as an economic union and go on from there to become a political and then a military union. That's exactly what we've seen play out since then. But Mr. Armstrong also warned that it would not come easily, that they would fail to bring about this military union by themselves, and they would only succeed in that once they brought in the help of the Catholic Church. So watch for Europe to keep moving in this direction of a military union, but don't expect them to get there on their own. To understand more of this forecast, check out the trends section on our website and look at why the Trumpet watches Europe militarizing.